Okay, so we're already having too much fun, and this is going to be a great joy for me. This is my new friend and an amazing teacher, Jan or Yananda, who's here with us in Ireland. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, welcome, Lou. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So, this is my Awakened Spirits Network. I didn't mention that, and that's my YouTube channel. But I was blessed to meet this wonderful man, and I've sat with him maybe 6 or 7 times over the last 2 or 3 months, thanks to our mutual friend Tim Brown. And Tim and I say Friday nights, Friday morning, when we meet and meditate with Jan, has become one of the highlights of the week. So it's great to get to spend a little more time with you today. Thank you.
Great, fantastic. Well,
Yeah,
I love having you guys.
thank you. Thank you. It's a great group, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. When you go for that deep experience, all of us get more aligned, and we feel that company, getting more profound the deeper we go.
absolutely. Absolutely. We sit, just for people to know it, we sit in silence for an hour, and then Jan, who's had decades and decades of meditation experience and is quite enlightened and has traveled the world, he's going to tell you his story here, guides us energetically through the process. And I always come out the other side bright and shiny. So, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of I guess I'm scrubbing reality.
Till it's clean.
Yeah,
Yes. Good man. Good one. Well, and we also discovered, didn't we, that I worked in the Phoenix bookstore and used to buy your books in Santa Monica at the Phoenix from time to time.
absolutely. Yeah, I used to go there a lot. It was a lovely bookstore when it was on Santa Monica Boulevard. Or
Yeah. Yeah, those were the heydays. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, let me give you the floor and tell us a little bit about your journey. And you've had an amazing life, as I was saying earlier. I've got a page full of yummy notes here about our brother, and there's a lot to talk about. But where would you like to begin? How would you like to take
oh,
off?
I'm going to let you
Okay.
start the interview because you're like the investigative cosmic spiritual, reporter. So
Okay.
what did you find out, and what would you like to know about?
Fair enough. Thank you very much. That's very good. Well, I'll just briefly go through your some of your biography here. You're born in Holland, I believe.
No, I was born in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, take us on
Yeah,
then
no,
from there.
I was born in Saudi Arabia. My father worked for Aramco, which is the
Yeah.
Arabian American Oil Company,
Right.
and he was one of the original engineers that helped develop their refineries.
Okay.
And so I remember being there for the first 5 years of my life,
Okay.
being in the Arab desert and, being out there and, being around Arabs and things, the earliest memories, And I
Wow.
remember the beaches that we used to go to, the dolphins used to come up to the shore and you could play with them and stuff,
Beautiful.
So from there we moved to my father continued working in the oil business, and we moved to a small Caribbean island off the coast of Venezuela called
Mm.
Aruba.
Okay.
And that's where I lived till I was about 18.
Wow.
And then from there I moved to America
Wow.
and continued living in America until around the year 2000.
Right.
And then I left and started living vast around the globe. Yeah.
Right. Very good. Excellent. I mean, it sounds like kind of an idyllic childhood. Would that be fair? Or very.
Yeah, my playground was a tropical beach with turquoise water, and
Yeah.
we had diving towers and sailboats, and we did water skiing, and
Yeah.
that was my playground.
Sounds nice. Sounds pretty good, my
Yeah.
friend, honestly. Yeah, good for you. Beautiful. Well, and then you started, I mean, as you said, around the year 2000, you started traveling the world. I know you've been in every place that has any spiritual resonance, it seems like. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I always did a lot of traveling, but year 2000, I kind of packed my bags and left America.
Yeah.
But up to that point, I always lived in America, but I always took journeys, to India or Europe or South America, because living in LA, you live very close to Mexico, and we
Right.
would go down to Mexico and Guatemala, and I would lease out my house in Santa Monica for 3 months. Some European would come and rent it and stay there, and I would be off in the jungles of Central America, hanging out Palenque or Tikal, or going to Tijuanaco, or well, that's in Peru, but in Peru, Bolivia. But I would go to Teotihuacan, lots of different places,
Sure. Sure.
exploring, whatever I felt was relevant to what it was that I was trying to connect to.
Right. Right. I'm just writing down Timothy Leary because I didn't even write that down yet. There's so much to chat about here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just to come back to what you were saying before we got started, Yananda, you said you felt, if I may share, to know as a child the kingdom of heaven is within you, and to find that truth that you knew from an early age that you were connected to spirit in a very personal and deep way, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I always had this seed of curiosity for the nature of reality. I remember my earliest memories are when I was around 4, and I had a lot of toys, but I also somehow acquired these two little holy Bibles.
Okay.
They were like a couple of inches across, really small little Bibles. One was white with a golden cross on it, one was black with a golden cross on it. And
Right.
the entire Bible was written inside of it. And I remember the pages were white and black, but the outside, if you looked at the Bible, was red. And I
Okay.
had two of these, and I used to walk around as a 4-year-old, always opening it. And I didn't know what was in it, but I knew what was in it was important.
Wow.
You know,
Amazing.
so I was always somehow fascinated, and I always knew that I had a mission in this life.
Right.
And I remember I used to always wonder what it was,
Right.
and we lived in a small community in the desert. And when I was 5 years old, I opened a window to my bedroom and jumped out and
Wow.
just started walking
Wow.
in search of what it was that I was trying to find, or what I was supposed to be looking for.
Good for
And
you.
they found me on the edge of the community, walking on a highway, like a dirt road into the desert. And my father pulled up and says, "Where are you going?"
Yeah.
Dad, I don't know, but it is something I need to do, and I'm looking for it,
It's incredible.
so it's always
Beautiful.
been in me, this
Yeah.
thing for knowledge. And so
Amazing.
always remembered a passage from the Bible
Yeah.
that said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then everything shall be added onto you."
Yeah.
And so I took that literally. And so
Yes.
for the first 50 years of my life, I actually tried to unravel the mystery of, who am I? What is God? What is the soul? What are chakras? Why am I here? What's the
Yeah.
purpose of life? And
Yeah.
so I did that. And then after I was comfortable with what I discovered and what I found out, it
Mm.
was then that I started my worldly career,
Right.
which ended up working for a big multinational corporation,
Okay.
and for 20 years. Yeah. And
Great.
now I'm
Great.
retired.
Very, very good. Incredible. Well, and I mean, again, it's just, we've got Billy Meier and the Pleiadians. Do you want to take us there for a few moments and tell us
Yeah,
how?
so when I lived in Aruba at the age of 13, I'm not exactly, I think it's 12, 13, at 1950, 65, 1966,
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah.
I had a direct flying saucer experience
Wow.
where I was outside of my house in Aruba, bungalow number 42,
Okay.
and my father worked in a big oil refinery there, right off the coast of Venezuela on this island. I
Right.
heard a very, very strange humming sound, and when I looked up into the sky, a few hundred meters away was a silver disc gliding, through the sky, and I couldn't believe it. And I knew that nobody would believe me if I told them I saw it. So I started yelling. My neighbor came out, who was an engineer in his, say, mid 40s, and him and I saw this together.
Wow.
And it glided. We just saw it gliding away, and then it started gliding over the ocean towards Venezuela.
Mm.
And about 10 minutes after that, these Dutch, Air Force, Naval Air Force propeller planes with missiles on them,
Wow.
two of them
Yeah.
headed in the direction of the flying
Right.
saucer.
Took off.
And it's
Yeah.
ever since that day that I began to question reality and what's this all about,
Yes. Yes.
And
Beautiful.
so that eventually led me to, I remember in the 60s, I remember even reading the UFO magazine because it was out then. And I even remember reading something about what was happening there in South America. And I could relate to it.
Right.
And then, as time went on, I always kind of checked in with it every now and then to find out what was happening. And then I discovered Billy Meier case.
Right.
And so I was a very early person to investigate it. And I ended up in Switzerland, and then I met everybody there, and then they sent me off to America to meet a lady, and who had the contact notes. Billy had these contact notes, and it was about 2,500 pages of his discussions with the Pleiadians,
Right.
or Pleiadian that they call them now.
Right.
And so I got a copy of that and brought it to L.A. And
Yes.
I began analyzing it.
Right. So that's brilliant. So just so people have a context. So Billy Meier is the Swiss man who is the most documented Pleiadian contactee or ET contactee on the planet, basically.
Yeah, the difference between him and most people is that he has a relationship with them, and they say that this relationship goes beyond the present life. They know about him, and he was on a mission, almost like the Blues Brothers. He was on a
Right.
mission from God,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
to try to help turn the planet towards higher consciousness.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And so, weren't you telling me that's brilliant? You were telling me, weren't you, that you were helpful in getting contact with the Pleiades into print and things like that? We used to sell the book in at the Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
His
yeah,
book.
so I met all the people involved in it, and eventually said, okay, let's, because I knew some of the people behind the Whole Life Expo,
Right.
and so I set up a booth there,
Right.
and then
Paul Andrews.
we were, the trying to remember the lady that it was. I can't remember for some reason. I'm drawing a blank right now, but so we were selling books and different things, but we were also selling tickets to like an information, like an event we were organizing in Beverly Hills,
Okay.
and the 3HO Yoga Center.
Okay.
3HO is a happy, healthy, and holy organization, a
Okay.
Kundalini yoga organization.
Great.
And so we rented their room, and we did an event there, and a few hundred people showed up,
Beautiful.
and that kind of started the whole thing of the information, the Billy Byron information being released into the public in a big way.
Right. Right. And you were telling me earlier, thank you, that when we talk about the harmonic convergence, you were hanging out in Billy's kitchen on the day of the convergence. Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting in Billy's kitchen, and I was telling him a story. I don't know if you recall a guy named Marcel Vogel.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
met
so
Marcel
Marcel
Vogel.
Vogel used to always talk about crystals
Yep.
and how you could program a crystal, and you could even program a crystal, leave it in a glass of water, and then the water would vibrate at the frequency of the crystal, and whatever intention you put into the crystal would now be in the water, and you could give it to somebody to drink. And
Right.
so that could influence the person. So it turned out that Marcel Vogel,
Great
um,
reminder.
he um, he analyzed the metal samples. Billy Meier gave him some metal samples, and Billy Meier gave him some crystals to analyze, to check out, which he did. And they wrote a whole big report on metal sample analysis, and he's mentioned in the book, and he's mentioned in the videos and stuff regarding the case. And so I met him at a crystal conference, a crystal congress in Santa Monica at the
Right.
Miramar Sheraton Hotel.
Right.
And you probably know about it or heard about it.
Yes, you're ringing all my bells here. The Whole Life
Yeah.
Expo and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I said, "Hey, Marcel, how you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I've been over to Switzerland a lot." And we started talking about Billy Meyer, and the story goes that the crystals and the metal sample evaporated, and that they just disappeared, and that Marcel didn't have them anymore. And I mentioned that to him. He says, "Oh, no, no, I have I still have some of the metal samples and some of the crystals. Would you like to see them? And I said, okay. My friend used to call me Mr. V, and I used to call my friend Mr. Z for Z for Zion. And so me and Mr. Z went up to Marcel's room, and we were in there, and he showed me the one of the metal samples that was mounted in a little thing. And my nature, I always have a nature to put everything up to my third eye. I like to
Oh,
sense things. I like to
amazing.
sense food. I like to sense a lot of things. So
Wow.
when I put the metal sample up to my third eye, just about an inch away from my third eye, I saw a brilliant flash of indigo light,
Wow.
like a really powerful flash of
Wow.
indigo light.
Yeah.
And then he showed me some of the crystals, and I said, hey, and he said, yeah, these are Billy Meier's. They're from the Pleiades and this and that. And I said to him, I said, hey, Marcel, what do you think about putting these crystals in a glass of water and see if we can get the vibration of the crystal and we can all take a drink of the water?
Right.
And he said, okay, great idea. So we took a glass from the Sheraton Hotel, poured some water in it, dropped the crystal into the water and put it out on the balcony in the sunshine and left it out there for like 20 minutes while we were chatting away.
Right.
And then we brought it in and we all took a sip of the water. We all took a sample of it and drank it. And within, I'd say 20 or 30 seconds, all of a sudden this incredible experience overcame us, this incredible vibration,
My God.
just like we were like, do you feel it? Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Wow, that's amazing.
My God.
And what happened was is that we somehow were vibrating at the culture of the civilization of those living in the Pleiades. You were actually experiencing it,
Wow.
and it was undeniable. It was so
Right.
powerful. So
Right.
on the harmonic convergence, I
Yeah.
was sitting in Billy's kitchen, talking to Billy about this, and I explained this experience to him.
My
That's what I
God.
explained to him on harmonic
Wow.
convergence.
Wow.
And he said, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's very possible." Yeah, and he agreed with me. He said, "Oh yeah, that's definitely possible." And he acknowledged it and understood what we were talking about. Yeah.
That's an amazing story. That's an incredible story, Jan. I love hearing that. And of course, uh, Masaru Emoto and Veda Austin and other people are bringing water and the consciousness of water, more into our awareness. And but your reminder about programming the crystal, letting the crystal program the water, then drinking down the water with the intention, and then it goes into your field through your body. I'll have to put that into practice again. That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it reminds me of What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yes,
Because your friend was in that movie. Yeah, your man.
yes,
Yeah,
Emoto. Yes,
yeah.
yeah, and the
So
water crystals. Well, let me just
yeah, so
this.
we hear another yeah, so I've had an ongoing relationship with the Meier group since the early 80s. And
Right,
and so it's on and off, and they've gone through different types of evolutions, and so have I. And
right.
and the main thing is that what I realized, because I was always curious, because like I said, you might be able to put a link in the show notes.
Sure.
But on that video, I said that because Billy Meier and them are always trying to prove that the UFOs are real,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I said to them, you didn't need to prove to me they were real.
Right.
I was just curious about who these people are that fly the ships.
Yeah, yeah.
What is their spirituality like? What is their technology like? Who are these people? And
Yes.
and I finally have, then it basically comes down to what Billy Meier talks about is the creational energy teachings.
Right.
And those teachings, I learned that. I understand exactly what that is. And I learned that through Kriya Yoga, which is
Okay.
connected to Babaji, which is connected to Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar, and Lahiri Mahasaya, and
Right.
they teach a teaching called Kriya Yoga, which I
Right.
call Kriya Samadhi Yoga,
Okay.
which is a direct path to unraveling your connection to the source of your own life within you, which
Right.
is truly what it means to say, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, the kingdom of heaven is within you." It's
Right.
an actual experience heaven is an actual experience within you. And if you do enough work, if you dig enough within yourself through meditation, you can open up a channel and have a direct experience of that on a daily basis. Yeah.
And I know from sitting with you, you've had that experience many times. You've opened up to that in yourself.
Yeah, I live that.
Yes, there you are. Thank you. It's even simpler.
So
Yes.
I'm like a witness to it. I'm
Yes.
a witness to it, So I mean, no matter how strange it sounds, like how dare you say that? Like in today's society, it's like you're not allowed to say those kinds of things, but I say it because it's my truth, and it's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yes, we can debate. Oh, we can debate theory, but you can't argue with somebody's experience.
yeah, and I can't prove it to you. I mean, I can't. I don't have a. It's not like some angel, landed in my living room and said, "Here, let me certify your experience, and I can show you a document certified by God or
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
It's not like the Pope came over here and said, "Jan, you're certified." Like a certified saint. No, I can't do that
Yeah.
so you have to sort of take me at my word. But
Absolutely.
what you can experience is some of my and how I roll it out to you in terms of what I know about it. And you guys are all having an experience now.
Absolutely. Which again, brother, is the grace and the peace and the love that we get in our meditation time with you. And it's a transmission. That's my favorite word about all these things.
Yeah,
And even talking about these things, people are feeling the energy that we're sharing here together. You know,
yeah.
it's wonderful. It's incredible. Well, let's talk about some of how you got to that moment, or these moments, how you opened that part of yourself up so deeply in some of your work in Tibet and other places, the Great Pyramid, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that all of that has to really do
Okay.
with that experience directly because, all these things like, Mayan temples, pyramids, all these PowerPoints, Teotihuacan, all these places are external places.
Yes.
And of course, you do a lot of your external searching until you find the path within. And
Amen.
so the path within really started when I learned how to meditate.
Right.
And I learned how to meditate in the sense that there's these ancient teachings that were word to mouth. They were always word to mouth, and it goes way back into the pretty much there were a lot of mystics and ascetics living in the Himalayan region,
Yes.
and they seem to have the most powerful teaching in terms of what I was able to discover. And
Yeah.
I checked everything. I
Yes.
checked all the different paths and all the different ways,
Yes.
and I finally settled on that. And in the same way that you have these senses where you can hear, you can see, you can taste, you can feel, you can touch. All these senses, they have these techniques where you can turn those senses inward. And so instead of doing all of these things outwardly, now you can turn your senses inward, the
Wow.
sense of seeing and feeling inward. And as you dig deeper and deeper within. It's almost like when you go to the beach and you dig a hole. For a while, you're just hitting sand, but if you dig deep enough, then all of a sudden this water seeps in.
Right.
And you keep digging, and the hole gets bigger, and the water is more present. It's the same way. If through meditation, if you dig within, then the essence of the creation, that energy, that power, that wisdom power, that intelligence power, that love power begins to seep into you as you untangle yourself from the mind, which is always outward, and you direct your senses inward. Yeah.
Right, right. So thank you. Perfect. So you were sharing with us, at the class there, 10 hours, 12 hours, days, weeks, of just going within in caves in Tibet and wherever you might be. So, to give people a more of an understanding. And of course, you're talking about Babaji and Yogananda and Lahiri Mahasaya and all these wonderful teachers. So you're kind of transmitting that tradition, that energy of Babaji and others, in your work and in your presence here.
Yeah, yeah. That's my core. And I realized that that teaching is universal, and that all beings, all mystical beings in the galaxy and the universe, ultimately walk a path like that to understand the same thing. It's our oneness and our unity with all living creatures, and and it has really nothing to do with flying saucers. I mean, the flying saucer thing is interesting to
Yeah.
me because because they have this technology that allows them to fly, 600 light years in 7 minutes, you
Wow.
know, and
Amazing.
and that's another level,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
mean that's interesting to me because instead of taking a vacation to Amsterdam, if I could jump in a ship, I could fly to another planet, another galaxy. That
Yeah.
would be really interesting, but I
Yeah.
haven't arrived there yet. Billy seems to have arrived at that because
Okay.
he has some type of privilege
Yes.
with them, and because they recognize who he is and what he's been doing for lifetimes.
Yeah. Well, and I fell out of my chair when you told me Billy Meier's still alive. I had no idea about that as well. He
Yeah, he's
must be
getting pretty old. Yeah,
he's in his 90s, I would guess.
yeah, he might not be around that much longer. Yeah,
Sure, sure, but it's great, again, like we're having this conversation that he's been able to share, with many people, the experience that we're not alone in the universe, that there are, as they say, in the indigenous culture, the star nations, our star brothers and sisters, many of whom are very enlightened and very available to help us and guide us if we're open to that. Wouldn't that be fair?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all. I mean, I think that the moment that I think the moment that the world really starts to meditate and starts to realize the self and starts to align with nature, align with our spiritual selves, I think the more that that happens, if we can make the connection, because there are a lot of forces that are unraveling or undoing our civilization, and but if we can overcome that, and
Yeah,
and the more people who align with this principle, I think that eventually it'll open up a gateway where we can join this great federation of living beings in the galaxy and in the universe, and that they'll welcome us aboard, but they can't welcome us aboard if we behave like a bunch of savages. You know what I
sure,
mean?
sure.
So we have to somehow
Grow up.
cross the Rubicon, so to speak.
Yes, grow up a little. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Raise our vibe a little bit. Yeah, amazing. Um, People who are just starting meditation, let's say, Jan, and who would come to your class at O'Donovan's 10 a.m. Friday mornings in Clonakilty. There's my poke for that, which I really recommend to everyone in case you haven't gotten the hint yet. Um, you're telling us about your experiences of sitting sometimes for days and weeks, in total meditation, in total silence. Can you tell me how you got to that point and what all of that gave you?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that well, first of all,
I
in
mean,
the
that's an
meditation
amazing
class,
achievement.
well, in the meditation class, I don't really talk about all this stuff that we're
No,
talking about now because it's pure meditation. I mean, this stuff you find out about me if you get to know me, but the class itself is just purely a meditation class.
fair
There's
enough.
there's not really a lot of mumbo jumbo, or stuff that's mind bending. We just talk about meditation and the principles of meditation, but essentially is that once I learned the powerful Kriya Yoga techniques, then I began to meditate on them, and just even a little meditation on them brings an incredible amount of transformation and bliss into your being. And so when you begin to experience that transformation, it's almost like the veils start to part, and you begin to see things within you about the nature of reality that all the philosophy and all of the scriptures talk about, and that you're having a real legitimate experience. So I was always very curious about that to
Yeah,
see how far and how deep I could go.
right.
So I spent a lot of time disentangling myself from the mind,
Yeah,
because the mind is very much like if you have when you have a wine glass and you can rub your finger over the
yeah,
top and it just
yeah.
starts to vibrate.
Mm,
But once it's vibrating, if you take your finger and you touch the glass, it dampens the vibration immediately.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with us, is that because we're so worldly, if we're trying to have a spiritual experience, we're so worldly that it really can't manifest because we're dampening the experience because we're blocked within. Our chakras are blocked.
Right.
Our experience is like we're almost like having a side effect, like you can have a side effect of out if you drink too much alcohol.
Yeah.
We're having a side effect of material reality,
Yeah.
and we almost deny wanting to feel what's within because we feel anxiety and we're suffering, we feel pain. So we're always trying to avoid that and trying to find the next thing that will help us forget that. So,
Sure.
but Kriya Yoga allows us to go within and to disentangle and to unravel all of this and to then finally resolve it, where you then, like in the same way that I said, when you dig in the sand and the water comes in the beach,
Yeah.
in the same way you begin to dig within, and then that essence, that beautiful essence, that perfect love begins to seep within you, and you begin to experience it. So I
There
was
you go.
really a miner, so I just dove deep within and began to dig, and to the point where I proved to myself, because I broke through to the other side,
Yeah.
to prove that myself that it was all real and that it wasn't imagined and that it
Right.
wasn't a belief system, but that you could actually know that to be true within yourself.
Yes, and as you just touched on, thank you so much. And as you just touched on, Jan, that what's basically at the core of all of us is unconditional love.
Yeah. And that we're all one in that. We're all drinking, we're all part of the same ocean of life. And the way that I like to explain that is that if you went down to the ocean with a cup and you took that and you scooped some of the water, you were holding it out of the ocean, is the water in the cup the same as the ocean?
No. Yes, sorry, it is, of course.
Right, but it's still separate, right?
Yeah, it's a paradox. It
But
is.
if you dissolve the cup, the water would fall back into the ocean, wouldn't it?
Yes. In essence, it's the same.
Yeah, so that's really our condition, is that we're
Absolutely.
we're we're of the we're from the ocean of life. There's a torrent, there's a huge ocean of a powerful ocean that's timeless and full of love and intelligence and wisdom that's sustaining the creation. That's why the creation is so perfect,
Yeah.
because it's all contained within that. And
Yeah.
that connection to that is within you.
Yeah.
And so if you stop identifying with all the worldly things, if you disentangle yourself from the mind and you have a really good method and a technique, you can then have moments where you don't identify with the cup anymore and you just merge into the ocean.
Right.
And then you come back out of the ocean again and you go, oh, I got to get to my job. I got to,
Right.
take care of my kids. I got to do
Yeah.
all these things in the world
Yeah.
in order to keep it all going. But
Yeah.
it's a blessing to have the body, and it's a greater blessing to know what this is and to be able to practice it.
Yes. Oh, beautifully said. And you're actually reminding me in my channeling, which I've done over the last many years. I was in Vienna and we had a workshop, and what came through me on was a thing of just getting smaller and smaller, of going within, 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 within. And I realized at the time, and I've thought about this, there is no end to it. It's infinite. So the within and with the without are both really, of course, the same. It's just our perspective of it. But then again, the grace of it, the real breakthrough, as you said, is getting to that place where you are that pure love and that pure bliss. And then when you get back into your body and your mind and your personality, you have the grace of that to sustain you and to guide you, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It touches the people that you live with. It puts a grease on the wheel, so it makes it easier to flow through the moment or to get things done, whatever it is that you do.
Yes.
And then you also things manifest
Yes.
in a very easy way, and it's almost like the universe. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
The more that you know that truth, then you become an embodiment of that truth in the
Yes.
simplest way. Yeah.
Yes. Beautifully, beautifully said. Well, talk to us a little bit about Babaji and what he means to you, and why that's a big focus of what you'd like to share in your work.
Yeah, for me, yeah, what could I say about Babaji? So,
Big question.
Yeah. So it started with in my search. I started really intensely searching for truth in the early 70s after the 60s.
Yeah,
Like I'm a boomer, baby
yeah,
boomer,
yeah.
and we went through all of the 60s and
Same.
the Vietnam War and the protests and then the whole hippie culture, like festivals and
Right.
Country Joe and the Fish and
Yeah, yeah,
Quicksilver Messenger Service and Canned Heat and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Hendrix and all of that.
yeah.
After that, I really began to search for truth, and in all ways and all methods, because I really didn't know what it was, but I knew it was out there. So at one point, I read autobiography of a yogi,
Yeah.
and
Yogananda.
I read about Babaji.
Yeah.
And so I began, and I had asked, excuse me, I had when I had
Babaji is an immortal that was Yogananda's guide. Is that fair?
yeah. So Babaji is, and if you read autobiography of a yogi,
Hmm.
you'll read that this guy named Lahiri Mahasaya
Great name.
met Babaji in the Himalayas,
Yeah.
because he got assigned there because for his work,
Yeah.
and he was walking around in the Himalayas, and then this yogi, with long hair said, "Hey, Lahiri Baba, and how do you know my name?" And he goes, "Yeah, well, you used to be my disciple in a past life, and this is your cave, and so really, and so he got to know him and then learned about the Kriya Yoga
Mm,
and started meditating in the same way that I'm meditating. And as a householder living in Varanasi, India,
mm,
a 3,000-year-old city,
mm. Wow.
and people began to know about him, and then he began to share the Kriya Yoga teachings with the different people who came to him,
Mm,
and they started meditating, and everybody started having an amazing experience.
mm.
And then so he had a disciple named Sri Yukteswar,
Yes.
who was born on May 10th, same day I was born,
Oh, how
May 10th,
nice.
and and he had his disciple named Yogananda, and Babaji and Sri Yukteswar encouraged him to go to the West because they said there were many people in the West seeking this truth and they were ready for it and they somehow needed to find out about it.
Yeah.
So they encouraged him to do that. And he did that and met a bunch of people in the West who he taught. And eventually he wrote a book called Autobiography of a Yogi, which is a classic spiritual
Yeah.
book. Everybody needs to read it if they're looking for the truth.
Yeah. I
And
read
I
it.
read
It's
that,
wonderful.
and I read about Babaji, who is an immortal being.
Yeah.
And what that really means is, in the way I understand it, is that he's so pure, he's so aligned with the creational force that you have matter energy, that he can become energy and will himself anywhere in the world and appear and disappear, and that he's become deathless, and he's been known about in the Himalayas for thousands of years.
Yeah.
People have known about him, and some
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, he's the original Shiva," and some people say, "Oh, he's Krishna." You know,
Yes.
a lot of different people say a lot of different things,
Yeah.
but he has the ability, according to Autobiography of a Yogi, to appear, which he did many times to Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda, Lahiri Mahasaya, and he had a direct relationship with them.
Yeah.
So when I read about Babaji, I went like, oh wow, is this really true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this really possible?
Mm.
Could such a being like Babaji exist?
Yes. Yes.
And so I began to sort of pray to him on some
Okay.
level.
Okay.
On some level, I
Beautiful.
began to just like, oh, Babaji, if you're real, I
Yeah.
want to believe that this is true.
Yeah.
If you're real, this is so amazing. This is so incredible.
Mm.
You know, I really want to believe this because if I knew this was true, then I know I could dedicate myself to this path,
Yeah.
and so this went on and on and on for several weeks, actually, 2 weeks,
Okay.
just
Okay.
day and night. I was just Babaji, Babaji. I was calling out to him.
Right.
Then one morning, I almost never talk about this, but
Okay.
one morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I would say, I woke up and my body was still sleeping. I couldn't move my body.
Right.
and it was snoring
Right.
in my bed, but I was
Right.
fully awake in my body, just like
Wow.
I'm aware of you right
Right.
now.
Right.
And my body was sleeping away,
Right.
and I was looking into my forehead.
Yeah.
And while I was sleeping, my eyes were closed, and I was looking in my forehead, and
Right.
I saw a lot of astral light, like really a lot of patterns, and like
Wow.
almost like stars and galaxies and stuff.
Wow.
And within that light, a small green ball appeared, like
Okay.
the color of grass.
Okay.
And it was just traveling around. And I go, oh, what's that? What's that? And it was moving around and just going left and right and going far away and coming close. And then eventually it just stopped right in front of my vision. It was just
Right.
all I could see was this, I could see the stars and everything, but the majority of my vision saw this green ball.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the green ball opened, and there was Babaji's face looking directly at me.
My God. Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
And so I went, Babaji, you know,
Yeah.
and he was looking at me, with his big brown eyes, and he
Mm,
had long hair,
mm.
and
Yeah, he's a beautiful face. He's a
I
beautiful
went
face.
like I am looking. I thought this in my own mind. I said,
Hmm.
I am looking into the eyes of the one who could hear my prayers.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the moment I thought that, he smiled, and I left my body, and I
Wow.
started traveling through all kinds of dimensions of time and through the
Wow.
universe, and just started traveling through all these tubes and tunnels, and just traveling. And then all of a sudden I ended up in an ocean of golden light,
Wow.
and and extended on forever. And it was this beautiful, harmonious place. And then the voice said, Jan, what you seek can be felt,
Oh,
and therefore it can be known.
wow.
And then all of a sudden I thought, where am I? And boom, I was back in my body again. And then when I stopped thinking, I was back in the ocean. And so I had that experience, and then it was over. And so therefore I've always had a small advantage. So when I practiced Kriya Yoga and I did all this stuff, I always had this within me.
Yes.
So when I meditated intensely on this
Yeah.
Kriya Yoga,
Yeah.
almost like Lahiri Mahasaya, like I already had that foreknowledge within me, So
Yes.
Babaji blessed me with that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
He didn't, and I realized that he didn't bless me because I'm some kind of a great soul. He blessed me simply out of compassion. That at any point in time, there are many souls trying to make contact him or ask for his blessing, but somehow he blessed me, and because I was really my heart was really in the purest state,
Yes,
in
my
the
friend.
purest state you can imagine. I don't think I've ever gotten there again, but I mean, it was so pure that he blessed me with that experience, and
Beautiful.
that is what really drove me in my yearning to get the Kriya, to meditate on it, and to realize what it was.
Amazing.
And so that's why I have two websites. One is called babaji.com,
Right.
and the other one is called feel.com,
Okay.
because he said you could feel it and therefore you could know it. So I
Yes.
I have feel.com and babaji.com because of that experience. So not only did he bless me with that, but he also enabled me to get those two web domains, which are very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. He showed you the secrets of the universe and two great websites.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that, Jan. That is an extraordinarily generous thing of you to share with me and everyone here. I mean, what I want to say, brother, is your devotion and your sincerity and your discipline, all of that, creates that moment, I think, when these things are possible. That's all I know. It's grace happens through devotion and service and selflessness, and you have all of those things, honestly, brother, in great abundance, and you're sharing them with us very generously and very beautifully. So I'm just so grateful to you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the other day I was realizing that I'm fortunate that somehow, I've been able to, spend a lot of my life energy exploring some very powerful subject matter, which,
Absolutely.
I haven't spent a lot of time, on other stuff, even though
Yeah,
I've done a lot of other things. But
yeah,
I'm fortunate to be able to have been able to have drunken from those wells,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well, you, as you said, my friend, you knew from the moment you drew breath in this world that there was something you were here to find,
yeah,
and it was possible if you kept looking, you would find it. I love the story of you at 5 years old, leaving your family and going out to explore it on your own. And you've never stopped. You've never looked back. You've just kept going, which is incredible.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a huge blessing, my friend, to get to know you and hear all that. It's just
Yeah, and also, over the years, as I, became more aware and more aware, I began to look into astrology. And then when you look into the astrology, you go, okay, now it makes sense.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, because when you're born, the astrology somehow reflects your mission in life.
yeah,
And the more that I looked into it, the more it, and even the fact that I'm doing this right now with you, when
right,
I look at the astrology of the moment,
yeah.
what we're doing right now is exactly what the astrology of the moment dictates.
Of course. Can you interpret that? Can you explain why that's so in your mind?
Well, I mean, the alignments that are happening have
Yeah,
to do with the purpose of my life, have to do with becoming a teacher, have to do
beautiful,
with all of that, and
beautiful,
it's all lining up perfectly. And
fantastic.
you're actually playing a role in it.
Well, I'm delighted and I'm honored. Thank you. It's a pleasure. I mean, this is what I live for is for people, myself included, to see what's possible here from people like yourself, who've made these journeys, and I've made some of my own, and we all can share, people don't know they can make a choice if they don't know they have a choice, is my motto. And so you and I and other people who have been blessed with some of these experiences, we're saying, look, you have a choice, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but you have to, you have to sort of like for example, I always say people go, for me, like this meditation class that we do together. You could do marketing and like, how many people can we pack into the room and how much, it's not about that.
Right.
It's more about getting the message out there so the people who are ready, that to hear the message have the opportunity to then go deeper with it.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that'll hear this message that it doesn't mean anything to them,
Sure.
because they're busy
Sure.
pursuing whatever it is that they're pursuing. But
Sure.
you want to make it available to
Yeah.
those that are ready to hear the message, that are actually maybe sitting on the edge of their bed going like, why am I alive? What's the purpose of my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it all about?
Yeah.
And so I know when I was searching, when I was in the beginning, I would have loved to have met a person like myself or
Sure.
yourself that
Sure.
could have helped me, in understanding the way to go about it, because
Yeah.
it's a vast thing. If you go into YouTube, there's so many videos you could watch. You're like, well, which way do you go?
Sure.
Like I remember, when I was searching, that was before you had anything like this. So I
Yes.
would go into shops like the Phoenix Bookstore
Yeah.
and Bodhi Tree, and I would there would be, shelves and shelves and shelves of books.
Yeah.
And all I ever did was I looked in the index of the books for
Right.
whatever the subject was that I was interested in, and
Mm.
so I was able to navigate the metaphysical reality or realm. Instead of using Google, I used the index of spiritual books
Sure.
to find out, and I would go right to the chapter,
Sure.
whatever it was that I was interested in. So that was my way of doing it.
Oh,
And I could
same.
spend hours in a metaphysical bookshop and
Yeah.
eventually buy a book, which I have a lot of,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, brother. Of course. I mean, I spent 15 years in bookstores after I left school, and most of what I was doing was reading for my own information and education, and then met Ram Dass and Tim Leary and people like this, who were such a catalyst for me, like your good self there.
yeah.
Yeah, and astrologically, since you're bringing that in, which is great. I guess the wood horse or the fire horse that we're riding in this month, in this year, it was there 60 years ago. Like we're talking about the 60s.
Hmm.
It's come
Yeah.
full circle now. So it's going to be a rocking time. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
I've done a lot of analysis, of what was the astrology of the 60s like, and because we had the flower children, like,
Right?
which was a beautiful time. I mean, it was
Yeah,
amazing, that whole flower child
yeah,
thing. It
yeah.
was incredible, an amazing, amazing,
Yes,
so yeah.
yes. Well, shall we take a deep breath and put a pin in it for part two for next time?
Sure,
Is that all
absolutely.
right? I mean, that
Yeah,
just seems.
if you think you have more questions, or you want to talk more, then we can really do that. Yeah.
I'd be delighted, my friend. I'm sure you and I could kill a few hours, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. All
It's
right.
it's been a pleasure, and really, again, Jan, a transmission. Everything you just shared there is, for a lot of people, this will be the first time that they hear these stories and begin to understand, what is actually possible as a human being awakening. It's a great gift. So thank you so much for everything you've
Oh yeah.
shared.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure,
Beautiful. All right. Well,
buddy.
um,
Here now.
we send people to your Facebook page and Babaji.com so that they can follow your adventures.
Yeah, yeah, and the flyer is uploaded at KriyaSamadhiYoga.com. You can see a link from
Okay.
Yananda.com to that. In Yananda.com, or if any link on meditation will take you to that.
Okay. Great. KriyaSamadhiYoga.com.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Just
man.
yeah, check the website, and then the flyer is there.
Okay. And you are my dear brother and mentor and friend on the path, Yananda. And we call you Jan, and it's a joy, brother. Thank you so much for your time. My cup is full, and I think we'll give people a little chance to digest that and come back for more. Is that all right?
Okay. All right, Lou.
Thanks so
Take care now.
much.
Cheers.
Blessings, blessings.
All right.
Okay. Have a great day. We'll talk. I'll see you Friday. Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Okay,
See
my
you.
friend. Thanks
Bye.
again. God bless you. Peace.
Peace, man. Cheers.